The Supreme Court has done what Congress has been unable to do. It did something about DACA by, well, doing nothing about DACA. The High Court declined to consider the administration's appeal to end the Obama-era program that protected young people who were brought here as children from then being deported. Now, those dreamers, they've been in limbo since the president announced last year that he was giving Congress till March 5th. As you can probably tell, that's less than a week from now, to deal with DACA. Now, those DACA participants, they can remain in the U.S. and apply for renewals once those permits expire. That means as many as 800,000 dreamers have a reprieve, at least for now. Well, joining us now is Karin Anderson. She's director of Neighbors Link Community Law Practice. It's a group on the front lines of helping immigrants with legal issues. And before we started here, a good day, but still the limbo, right? It's better than what you feared, but it doesn't resolve anything, right?
No, it doesn't. It's a good day in that people who were previously expecting to lose their status and face deportation now have a reprieve, and it's hard to minimize the importance of that. But it doesn't solve the problem for the many younger people who haven't previously applied, who would, once they became of age, 16, begin to qualify for DACA and be able to make an initial application. We have a whole other cohort of kids who are going to be getting ready to go to college, and they desperately need DACA status to be able to pursue their American dream.
So, as you've done many times for us, put a human face in this, and specifically what we've seen here in the last so many months about people going back into the shadows that were previously out in the open and worrying that come March 5th, someone might come to basically break the family apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see people every day who are afraid already because they have family members who may not have status, and they're concerned about what's going to happen to their parents. Now, DACA recipients, the kids in some of these families were like the shining hope. They were a representation for the future of that family and for the possibility of what this country can offer to people who are willing to work hard and be upstanding. Now those people, over the past several months, have been facing the specter of no longer being able to use their Social Security card, no longer being able to drive. And what that means in a very practical level is that you have students who are paying tuition at Westchester Community College who are no longer going to be able to go to classes or be able to work to afford the tuition there.
If anybody thinks I'm talking about the theoretical here, in the last year, and even before that, but particularly in the last year, people have been afraid to leave their homes. People have been afraid to go to court to pay a ticket. People are afraid if they go into the emergency room, you know, and they come out, is somebody going to be waiting there with cuffs? I mean, you deal with this on a daily basis. I cannot exaggerate how the tension went from here to here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can be hard for people who aren't living this life or interacting with folks who are dealing with this to believe how frightened people are. People are afraid to bring their children to school. They're afraid to go to the doctor. They're afraid to talk to the police. They're really frightened. And the prospect of the DACA kids being also cast back into that population was really frightening and demoralizing to the entire immigrant community, not just undocumented people, but people who are naturalized citizens, people who are permanent residents, who are building their lives in this country. How the least among them is treated, it reflects to them, I think, quite appropriately about how the country views their presence here and their contributions. It's very demoralizing.
So now here's the tricky question. You know this better than anyone that I've asked. Would you prefer, given the current makeup of Washington, that they just leave this thing alone now, albeit we have the status of limbo? Or are you afraid if Congress goes to try and fix this, that they're going to come back with a solution worse than even the status quo?
I think it's very frightening times. And what I would hope is that ultimately, that everybody realizes, whether it's in D.C. or especially here in Westchester, that people realize that this isn't a partisan issue, that people from both sides of the aisle, there's a broad consensus that Dreamers should have protection, and that it shouldn't be changed to some drastic and poorly thought through changes in our immigration system. And my hope is that we'll have a common sense solution, but if we can't have that, let's not do anything that makes the situation worse.
Finally, listen, I've been doing this for a little while. I can't remember a more tribalized time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
But I did say, and you've forgotten more about this than I have, if we could get 535 people in Washington to be a fly on the wall at a naturalization ceremony, I don't care where it is in this country, I don't care what your political affiliations are, I believe, and you've seen more of them than I have, that you can't walk out of that room believing that America is a better place with these people here who probably definitely know the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all the basic attachments in the U.S. better than the vast majority of the American citizens. I really believe that. Do you agree with me?
I absolutely do. I mean, I've been in many naturalization ceremonies, and there's nothing more powerful than seeing a room full of people with their hands held in the air, pledging allegiance to this country, and you can look in all their eyes, and you can see they came from countries where they know what that means. They know the difference between having a vote and being in a place where they feel safe as opposed to the place they came from. It's incredibly powerful, and it's an honor as an American to witness that and know people see us in our country as offering this unique opportunity for them, and they run towards it. They want to be a part of who we are, and we should be embracing that and standing for that.
Hey, maybe it's a small victory. We'll take any victories at this point we can get here in this last news cycle. Karin, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Coming up next, everybody, we're going to take a look at a few stories coming out of D.C., including more backlash from some of the things said at CPAC, new Republican attempts to repeal Obamacare, and why President Trump is already starting his re-election push.